All right?
All right. So, we're moving on with a talk that is about creative Perlmongership, and obviously the slides are in text, so that's great. Let's welcome our speaker.
Do you guys hear me well? Yes. Excellent. All right. So I've tried to give this talk about Perlmongership. Well, it's not Perlmongership. It's doing stuff that's around Perlmongers and meetings and stuff. But before I start, let's please save your questions till the end. There's a lot to cover and a little time, and let's just cover the important bits first. I've said this before. This is Oslo Perlmongers' two-step plan for success. One is do something cool, then tell about it. That's about it. All right. How to turn this into some actually practical stuff. You Google Perlmongers successful, and then you find sponsors. It's easy. And then do technical meetings. And then try and do a workshop during the day, and try to have fun. That's it. Thank you. Now, you have the choice. You could either have questions or some extra material I have. Questions? Anybody wants to see our extra material? Yeah, more hands than extra material. All right, here's some extra slides for you. All right, creative Perlmongership. While I'm going through all this, I want you to kind of think of this like project lifecycle management. Think long term. What needs to be kept going so that it's self-sustaining? It could be long-term issues like how to keep volunteers coming in and staying, and treating ourselves as an amateur community, because while we're professionals during the daytime, while we're doing community stuff, quite a few of us, the fewest of us, are paid to do it. Almost no one. I kind of got a little bit money for it, but I'm lucky, and I work at a strange place, and it won't last. So we should treat this as a group of people who love doing stuff, and that's not business. And to give you some context about Oslo Perlmongers. In Oslo, we have 950,000 people, basically. The city center area is 600 and something. We have typical meeting size of 3 to 8, so we're very small. We have 10 to 20 companies. I tried to go with my friend from Oslo, that's also Karl Rune, which isn't here now. He should be, essentially. We counted 10 quickly. So there are lots of companies who don't tell that they're using Perl. We have attendee numbers around 100. At the max, we've had 120. 3 to 8 at the meeting sizes, or as I said. 3 to 8 volunteers when we're organizing stuff, and 1 to 4 people who are like hardcore doing stuff and taking initiatives, depending on weekday and whether or not they have kids or all kinds of stuff. And we have a good member-centric network, meaning that the membership we have, we actively, when something cool is happening, we're actively trying to involve them, say, talk with your bosses. Bad things, we don't have many technical meetings, but then again, when we try to do something, we kind of do an event, something a little bit cooler. Things that we have done lately. First meeting was in 2002. We created a formal organization in 2006. We had the first Perl QA hackathon in 2008. I have some more slides if you want to add. 2009, we had an EPO and Perl 6 hackathon. 2011, we took a boat trip to the Nordic Perl Workshop in Malmö. 2012, we had the Moving to Moose hackathon and a talk about the state of Perl at the Java conference. We had in 2014 a Perl 6 introduction at the University of Oslo. That was awesome. We had the Mojoconf conference and hackathon and stuff in this year also. And things that have been going regularly. We have had one meetup almost every month. We've had 2 Nordic Perl workshops, and we're going to have one next year. We've had Perl talks at the only open source conference that is in Oslo. We've had commercial training classes almost every year since 2008, meaning that the Oslo Perlmongers have been organizing them and saying to the companies, come and learn stuff. We've been part of something called Communities in Action, which is a gathering of all the meetup groups and technical communities in Oslo, just having a meeting of their community together at the same place at the same time. That was very fun, twice. At one of the talks, Matt gave a talk saying, Perl, it's a bit like Ruby, but with the usable object system. And Masak at the other one said, was part of a Minesweeper in JavaScript coding competition on screen, where he represented Perl 6 against Ruby and Java and JavaScript. Perl 6 came second place. The JavaScript they had a built-in user interface. Damn it. We've had Damien Conway 3 times, and it was funny, very cool every time. And while we're doing all this stuff, we're trying to follow a certain topic decision algorithm. Basically, find somebody who is involved in anything, and then help them organize something. That's about it. Well, okay. If we need people who care, organizers, and we identify them and we help these. And if you guys are hackers and are thinking about you want to make some visibility for your projects, then go to the organizers and the Perlmonger groups and say, hey, I want to make something happen. And if you're either one of those personally, that's fine. You can just help yourself too. A lot of the stuff I've organized is because I wanted to do it for myself. That's completely okay. I have some examples. In 2008, we started the QA hackathon, gathering the toolchain hack on CPAN stuff. It's happened yearly since then. I love that. Next one is in Berlin. This is the URL. Things that worked there is that everybody loved it, and they kept going after I was done with it. So I'm happy with that. No minus. Another thing we did was, before that, just so you guys get an idea of how this started. I was lurking on the IRC channel and looking and reading and seeing what people were doing. And basically figured out that there was lots of frustration going on and people were talking past each other. And I just said, damn it, these guys need to meet. That's it. Okay, I wanted to see if I could organize a hackathon all by myself, which I managed. So it's not hard to organize stuff. That's my point here. And if you pick a good topic that is current and needed, and people say, perhaps haven't talked about it, but it's like in the time. You have to keep good tabs with the community, of course, or whatever you care about. You can do really cool stuff and get something successful like the QA hackathon going. We did a hackathon in 2012. It was a 5-day hackathon. We did moose stuff on a mountain cabin in the fjords. We invited the Perl 5 MOP and the Perl RDF communities to do moosey stuff, and some of the Perl 6 people were also invited to talk about stuff. We spent a lot of money there. The whole budget was around 35,000 euros. And yes, we had the money for that because we did all kinds of stuff, which I'll talk about later. We had 17,000 of those were in sponsorship. And we had some crazy, interesting tricks to do that. The trick I did then, which might be worth, I don't know if you can repeat. If you're ever lucky enough to say, get a sponsor that will say, I will match euros from some other sponsor, or what yourself are spending, that's awesome. Because we got one who said, we will match your sum. And we said, okay, let's spend a lot. That worked quite well, actually. And we rented a bus, and we had all kinds of cool stuff, and everybody got free T-shirts, or, well. What we did was find the funding first and scale the expenses accordingly. We had 3 tiers of tickets. A commercial one, by ordering of a company that couldn't sponsor but gladly would pay commercial tickets, was 2,500 euro. We managed to sell 4 tickets. 2 of them are real, 2 of them were fake. The fake ones are from Liz and Wendy because they're crazy. But it was awesome because we could do all kinds of other stuff because of that huge amount of money. Participants that weren't invited, they managed to get away with just 650 euros. So it's still Norway, it's still expensive. And anybody who was invited got to the cheapest offer that was free. So we tried to make sure that the people who had money subsidized the ones that couldn't. It was an awesome trip, very memorable. We had a great time, minus it was too fragmented. And the Perl 5 thing, MOPS thing kind of went into stalling, and Stephen Little said, oh crap, I have to try again. But at least we had a good time. And he learned something from it. And it was also, well, okay, why did we do this? That's a good question. Marcus and Kjetil, the guys who started this, wanted to do some Musi stuff. We wanted to have some fun. We wanted to motivate the community members, gather, have some, get some stuff done. We would also like to say thank you to the people who are doing awesome stuff. So quite a big part of going to the beautiful parts of Norway was to say, we like that you're volunteering all that cool Musi stuff. And show that it was possible to do something to you guys. We did. Well, I could have shown pictures, but I don't have time. We did a Perl 6 intro at the University of Oslo, and that one was actually pretty hard to do. I kind of tricked Damien Conway into preparing a 3-hour presentation of all the cool stuff that would be useful with Perl 6 in a learning environment for teaching languages. And he said, I can do that. And the hard bits, of course, was to get that done at the same time as he is in Oslo, at the same time as the university has its students and teachers in the same room. We cooperated with the hackerspace at the University of Oslo, and they fixed a lot of the reaching the student stuff. We managed to fill a room. We blew a lot of minds. That was awesome. We included including some of the language curriculum committee members. So crossing fingers. Maybe they will use Perl 6 one day at the university. This was awesome. I was very happy, mind-blowingly cool. Minus, there was a lot of preparation and trying to get some of the insiders in the university to get excited about this took several tries, but it went in. I think this was something I was building on for, I think, 3 years or something, like figuring out stuff and reminding people and getting people involved. It worked. And the cool thing here is Damien is very happy to be invited to your Perlmonger groups and your university to give that talk. So this is a concrete thing you can do for your own Perlmonger group. Just talk with Damien and say, hey, that's the thing you did in Oslo, could you do it at our university? You just have to make sure that there's a place at the university and the right people are there. Go ahead and do it. Why did we do it? Well, show off the coolness of Perl 6, introduce some students to the community, and do something, as far as I know, nobody has tried to do before. And to this here, we did the Mojoconf conference, Mojoconf. First ever Mojo conference. Something about that. We aimed to have cheap tickets. It was the first one. We had a class there with Glenn Hinkle, Tempire, who did the Mojocast videos. We asked him, would you mind making a class for us, a commercial one? And he said yes, and we made sure he got feedback, and good examples on how to make the printed material and what to expect. He had never given a class ever before. He'd given presentations, but nothing a full day. And we gave him an extra day where he could rehearse with students in the room so he could figure out if this is going, get some last-minute feedback. And I annoyed him like hell. And the day afterwards, when he was done with the real thing, he said, it was no problem at all. Thank you for being an annoying bastard. These guys were awesome, and you were horrible.
And you took it as a compliment.
Yes. And it was with purpose. I wanted to give him the worst thing he could get, and then everything would be awesome, and he got a good experience because it was the last experience, meaning he is motivated to continue making better courses, and he wants to make more of those. And he is, by the way, also available for giving courses at your Perlmongers, other places. Half of the profits went to organize the conference, and it ended up being a lot. 500 euros per person, 16 tickets sold, expenses minus. We were swimming in money. We also organized a hackathon, so free lunch and dinner for the hackathon. And now I can tell, we said 2,000 euros of what we earned goes to the organizers of the next Mojoconf. There's a couple of people said we might want to do that, but if any of you guys want to organize a Mojoconf in 2015, go to the Mojoconf conference, say, I want to do it. And the guys, the Perlmonger group who is picked, gets the starting funding from Oslo Perlmongers of 2,000 euros. So go ahead and do it, if you like Mojoconf. Why did we? Oh, okay. Plus thing, we created lots of goodness. Oops. Another plus was we actually leveled up the community by doing the first conference, the first hackathon, and the first commercial class. I don't think you can repeat that before Mojoconf, but perhaps another community. It's awesome to see that the dancer community is getting its own conferences later this year. All right. So why did we do this? Marcus and Jan Henning saw the need for it. They came to me and said, I want to do it. I said, all right, find me a couple more organizers. And they found the rest of the people. We were 5 people in total at the end. It was fun, and it was obviously needed. And that's about it. Done. Thank you. But before that, we stop. There are either questions or extra material. What would you like?
One question.
Okay, one question.
The university class, do you know of any long-term effects it has?
No, it's too early. But we're organizing a Nordic Perl workshop next year at the same university with cooperation of the same hackathon. Rune will be announcing that during the lightning talks. And we'll make sure there's some cool Perl 6 stuff to show up there too. So maybe they'll get more convinced. I don't think much happens after the first impression. You have to get people to figure out that there's something real here. And it's long term and it's good. All right. How am I on time? I have 20 minutes left.
30 minutes left.
All right. I'm running quickly. That's fine, because I still have lots of slides. All right. Your City PM group of organizing. This is Salve's notes. It's kind of a condensed version of my last talk. And some new things in there, and some old stuff removed. All right. First, when you're doing Perlmongers group, try and get your feeling of your own motivation. What's in it for you, or why would you do this? For me, I think developing good software is very much about exploratory storytelling is what I say, because you try to figure out stuff at the same time as you're telling the next developer what you're doing in such a way that they can understand it and then continue that story or those instructions. Now, to do a good story, it's nice to have an outside perspective of things, not just a tiny little group that thinks alike. So the Perl community offers this, but it's volunteer-driven. Everything in the Perl community is volunteer-driven. There's almost nobody who's earning money on this, so it's all amateur. And nobody's going to volunteer you and helping you unless you volunteer yourself. And that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm here. If I don't show that I'm going to volunteer something, at least with a few things I can volunteer with, that I don't suck horribly at, I want to try and do that. So that's my motivation. You figure out your own motivation. Then there's create your own serendipity. That word means fortunate accident. You make your own luck. So by sitting here now, you can have a fortunate accident. Could anybody who has ever given a presentation at a Perl conference please stand up now? Okay, you guys who are sitting, talk with the guys standing up, because these guys can help you or do technical meetings. And if you can offer them a trip to your town and say, hey, come to our meeting, we'll fix the airplane ticket and perhaps a sofa or a hotel room. You have stuff going already. That means talk with people. And now you've seen some of the people here. And you've gone to the conference, just get some people that you like, some talks you go to, say, would you like to give this talk in my city? So this was the planned fortunate accident for the day. I'm still trying to learn this one. Purposeful excitement, like getting excited about stuff, but doing it in a directed manner. There's a way in improv theater. I don't know if anybody knows what it is. It's like the kind of theater where you make up what's happening as you go, and usually it's the audience saying what the theme is, and it's very funny and laugh. But one of the core thoughts here is to always think yes and. Agree with the person across the room, across on the other side or in front of you, and then build on that in whatever you do, in anything, because that makes it funny and you get creative and exciting and people are having a good time. On the other side, and I don't have a big structure here, by the way, so you'll just get a brain dump from me. There are some people who might say no but, meaning it's a kind of a positive thing. They want to help, but they say only for this little thing. For that, I would say, if the effort to include this person in making stuff happen is bigger than his contribution or her contribution, then say, oh, thank you. I don't want to do this. I'm a volunteer myself, too. I don't want to figure out that your strangely shaped puzzle piece fits somewhere in what we're trying to do here. It's too much work. So please go away, ask them nicely to either help more or in a more meaningful manner, or say, you're welcome as a guest. Predictability is good, but it's for real life stuff. Like if you have kids, and it's nice to know that this one day stuff will happen, but it's also boring. So figure out if there's some way you can do stuff that isn't too predictable. Simple isn't very good either, and low-key isn't very good either. Some people say, oh, I don't have any time to do stuff, so let's keep it simple. Oh, you're kind of making it a problem for yourself. Low-key is invisible. Make some noise instead. Try at least once a year. Like we do, we try to do one thing once a year, or two things perhaps. Appointing volunteers. You are a volunteer. I've said that several times, and he says yes. Sometimes it works, if you're lucky. But remember to thank them and include them. If your Perlmonger group is that one guy, I know the Swedish guys have had that problem for a while, and I'm sure a lot of other places have it. This is bad. It's horribly bad. There's a real danger of burnout here. It can be mitigated by having fun, and that's what I'm talking about here, how to make something fun going on. At the same time, thinking someone else will take care of it. I have a good idea. It seems like a good thing, and it's obviously good, so it's obviously obvious enough so that somebody else probably will think of it, and then not do anything, doesn't work. All right. Creating a formal organization sometimes is bad. It's annoying because it's paperwork. It's good because it makes you be able to do more ambitious stuff. We did it in 2006. If you have companies, involve them, learn to know them, bring the meetups to them. We've done that several times, and they were happy and we were happy. And it's also a good place to recruit people. At least try. Not everybody will come, but same time, if you have a good relationship with management at that place, either via your members or yourself, that's awesome, because you can ask them for support, sponsorship money or stuff like that. It's easier. Ambition is good, so level of ambition depends on how much you want to do or how much time you have. Hackathons are actually really simple to organize. Workshops are less simple, but still manageable. Doesn't have to be ambitious. Can have a one day, one track, just call a bunch of friends and invite a couple of interesting people and then go out for dinner afterwards. Yapsi will also work for the most crazy people, like people in Sofia and Granada and Barcelona and stuff. Training classes, we've had a lot of success with that. We try to connect those to conferences, and we also try to connect those to other people's conferences, meaning that there's another group trying to make something happen. We say, we can help with the program. You have some really good people that we can invite, and with the same time say you can earn some money. It worked really well for us. It also means if we're doing stuff for ourselves, we can do it like for funding, like for Mojoconf. The 25% number is for Damien, after we did some really hefty haggling. And it's kind of weird because everything is expensive in Norway, so it might not work. Those numbers might not work for you. Norway is a weird place where everything is expensive. At the same time, everybody is paid well, meaning that people coming from outside get some insane money for just the regular thing, and we take a bigger cut of that. That's about what's happened. I know the Swiss are doing something similar. I'm sure some of the other you guys might do so, but you have to adjust to your own market. Organizing trips. We've had organized trips to Yapsi. It's been a while since last time, but it was fun. And we had a few extra days, rented a car, and went the tourist route. It was fun. Do it yourself. We've had Christmas dinners with the local Linux user group. We've had the summer barbecue with the Ruby people. It's a while now since last time. We've invited other tech communities to our events. Doesn't happen often, but we've done that, and it was fun. We've also cooperated with other tech communities hosting at their place, but make sure to make it relevant, something that actually is useful for them. And the meetup.com website is invaluable for that kind of work, because that you get visibility across, based on region, not on topic. So you can suddenly get a lot of new faces showing up that you didn't ever know existed. We've tried to co-locate Perl events with other events several times. Nordic Perl Workshop last time was co-located with the Go Open conference. Next year, Nordic Perl Workshop will be co-located with another thing, which Rune here will talk about later today. And a couple of things I learned from other organizations. Make t-shirts. This is the Mojoconf t-shirt. It was super cheap and made in a hurry, but it's ours. And we can wear it and say we were there and we organized it. Stickers are awesome and stuff like that, but do it. If you guys, I know there's lots of introverts in the Perl community, can practice and become a little bit more inclusive and open and talk with people. That's quite possible to do so. A few minutes left. All right. Sorry. so this is, anybody can do that, and I'm serious. Even if it sounds like, oh, you would never want to stand in front of people, or you never want to be the first one to reach out the hand and say hi, you can do it. It just requires a little bit of practice. And the first one is the hardest one. And another important thing is don't care where people come from or who they are. That's called prejudice. So if somebody looks weird or you're not used to seeing that face, then shut up and accept. At the same time, care very much about people, who they are and where they come from. But that's called inclusiveness and giving attention. If you manage both of those at the same time, the one is when you meet them, the other one is when you keep them, then you're doing fine. And any good community needs those to be good. All right, some people out there are the kind of people that want to learn everything and absorb. Make sure that you have a space for those, meaning don't perhaps be too topical. Connect stuff to that other people can relate to and find interest in. Picking good topics. And if you want to learn something about yourself, you just make a small mini conference or something. There's a Polish guy called Zbigniew. Yeah, he did that. And when he told me that, he and Tajik came to Oslo, and we went out for a boat trip and discussed. And he told, I wanted to learn something about, and I don't remember the topic. And he said, so I invited 4 people for a panel debate. That was awesome. Yes, do that. It's a brilliant way of doing stuff. And sadly to say, some people are big personalities. Those are fun to have around for a while, but they can also be too much. So be careful with those. The Danish Unix user group are having every year a summer trip where they go to some cabin, they invite anybody who wants to come, anybody who wants to care about what they're doing, have interesting speakers, a good time, a fireplace in the evening, food and drink, and they use it as a way to recruit new board members. Awesome. That's worth copying also. And there's a couple other final observations. One thing which I try to make out of, but I'm not making a big thing out of it, is saying I would like at least to believe this is true. That stuff that happens at our Perlmongers stays at our Perlmongers. Meaning it should be a place where you could discuss anything. And share your stories and tell about how cool or horrible your job is. And part of this is to build trust and make a good community. And trust is a big part of that. But it's also to treat Perlmongers as a neutral ground, where it's not one company doing everything or pushing that company's agenda. If it's neutral, it means you can do stuff like we do, where we say, we're neutral, but we want to do what's best for the most people. So we will ask all companies, what kind of courses would you like to pay for? Which of these 4 courses would you like to send the most people to? Just fill out, send me a mail, here's the spreadsheet, whatever. And everybody takes it seriously because we don't sell courses. We want a good community. And we can believably say that because we actually are neutral. We're only following our own agenda. So try and keep that in mind. And there are some companies who kind of unconsciously do damage. They don't know how to use open source or be part of a community. They're being unnecessarily secret about things. Or they are one of those people who are leeches that say, oh, it's free software, let's just use it free as in gratis, not or free as in free beer, and not as something, conversation where we can improve the codes for everyone. If you can motivate the employees there to come and join and say, this is cool, and get them to pressure their management, awesome. but I've had a couple of companies that's kind of annoying that they have a nice community, or at least the developers, but everybody needs to shut up. They wouldn't talk and stuff like that, and don't be part of any community, or they're not being asked to be part of the open source community, or they perhaps even being actively forhindret. All right, they're being, I don't remember the word. Not something.
Using that word.
Yes. All right, some of you guys and us, we tend to be reserved when we shouldn't be. And very much when you're around people that are very good at not being that. So please ask them, were you about to say something? And make sure that you see if somebody had something and give them some space. That makes them a little bit more happy, I believe. Don't feel shut out. Cliques can be fun, but if there are too many of them, or if there are at least more than one of them, it kind of hinders good communication. It also makes you think that you don't need any more people, which is perhaps even worse. And here's something which I'm trying to do now and then. Create an obviously valuable vacuum, and then say, there is a vacuum there. Meaning there's somebody can come in and help. There's a room for people there's a place for people. But remember to tell everyone. And something that has worked for me lately, and I'm still learning, I still suck at being involved in Perlmongers, so I'm still giving help before asking it. That it works. But make sure it's personal help. Like getting websites done. Suddenly it's much easier because you help that person and they feel indebted a little bit. And they know already it's for good reasons and a good cause, so it's much easier to say yes for these people, for these friendly, good people. And this is perhaps hard. Being inclusive, if it's just one person who's being inclusive, it's really difficult. So building a culture on that is also, if you can do that, awesome. It's also awesome to suck at stuff, and yes, I am an old system administrator, so I write fuck like that. And here's the reason I managed to keep going for 10, 11, 12 years. Learn to use your stubbornness and say, damn it, I will make this happen. If you are stubborn. If you're like very bendy and want to just please people, see if you can find some stubbornness for some other things and transpose it into Perlmonger stuff. It will help you. And here's another cool thing I've learned. If you don't want to take the lead, you can still do awesome stuff by being a purposeful supporter. You're number 2, basically. But when you go second, you still have a lot of influence. You're just not doing the management stuff. You can say, I want to do this, and the management usually, they will see the guys who wants to make stuff happen, says, hey, cool, do it. And maybe you'll get some help. And like myself, we're trying to organize a conference next year, and some people say, I don't want to take the lead. And okay, do you want to be a helper? Yes? All right, I'll put you in the spreadsheet, a helper. Next guy who asks for that position, do you want to do it? There's already a helper there. It's awesome. It's much easier to say yes if you already know somebody will help you. But you have to kind of create that situation. A positive outlook helps sometimes, but not having a negative outlook helps always. So I'm not all that happy all the time, so I'm aiming for the bottom one. Summary, it's not that hard to make stuff happen. Even if you are small and suck like Oslo Perlmongers, just get going. Now, the real questions and discussion. One person.
Yes.
the generation of Perlmongers before me had the opportunity to get on a very nice Perl cruise. What are your thoughts about something like this happening again for people like me?
A Perl cruise, like the earlier generation of. There's another one who several saying yes. I would love to come to a Perl cruise too. But no, the problem is that trip we had to Malmö was because Rune had his home in a boat, and he said, "Okay, let's do it."
But it's sold now.
It's sold. So Oslo Perlmongers doesn't have a boat available anymore.
Buy a bigger boat.
Exactly. I've told him this already, but he didn't. So it was kind of a lucky situation. But I think the important bit here is just be creative about doing stuff and invite people, and it'll be fun. We had a nice trip to Copenhagen where some of the people were sick on the trip. It was nice looking at some of the guys like almost going like this, and then this German guy, Max, I think it was, with his head outside with a spray in his face and looking inside with a huge grin, having the best time of his life. That was awesome. But doing stuff that is different, let's just do that. But when we do something in Oslo, of course, we'll say something will happen and invite people, and you're quite welcome next time.
Do we have any more questions?
I just can't get my phone. How many companies are there? Because you said that the companies should work together and yeah, it should be a neutral ground.
No, actually I didn't say companies should work together. I said the Perlmonger groups try to make it look like you're a neutral ground at least. Be one if you can. Because that means it opens up for a lot of opportunities for the Perlmonger groups. But the cooperation between companies is kind of through the Perlmonger groups. That's the center of the cooperation, or the place where you do stuff. That's what I meant.
Yeah, but how many companies are there?
In Oslo, we counted 10, I think, and we assume there are a bunch of more that we didn't know of. But people don't go out that much, and we suck at marketing. But now and then, when we are invited to conferences, we manage to pull quite a lot of people. And like when Damien came to Oslo, three last times, we had basically 100 people in the room. And a lot of those were Perl people. Most of them, which is weird because we almost never have anybody at many people at the meetings we have. The technical meetings we sometimes have 10, 12, 15 people. But at the same time, we have to remember Oslo is a small town with about 630,000 people.
One person at the meeting has also happened.
Yes. A couple of times I've sat alone with a beer and seeing if somebody will show up. It was usually during summer, so I just had enjoyed the weather.
And the beer.
And the beer, and the food.
We have time for a few more questions. Anyone?
Ah, come on. We're here to help. Yes. Okay, one in front and then you. Okay. Thank you.
Well, the one I've been struggling with ever since was how to actually find the Perl developers in my city. I'm sure there's a couple more than I've never seen, but how do I find them?
You have some comments from behind.
Just to follow up on this, Niederrhein Perlmongers happens in Cologne, pretty big, German city. For about 2 years now, without fail, we meet every month. We are on meetup and so on and so forth. And our core, membership is basically 5 people, and sometimes we get up to 8, and that's about it. Yeah. And I know there are more people than that, so it's the same question.
Yeah. No. There's an answer from Tajik, which is fine.
Thank you. We had the same problem. We organized the conference and they showed up. I'm sorry, I don't have anything easier. But we organized the Polish Perl workshop in Warsaw and suddenly like 10 new people just materialized out of nowhere.
But did they stay?
Some of them did.
Define some.
Yeah, well, you have to start with something.
Oh, well, but actually making stuff happen and making it visible in the greater community and in related communities is just about what you can do. And meetup.com is a huge part of that. So if you're not on meetup.com, I would say go for it. There's also a couple other places where you can manage events, but they're not as good as Meetup. And hopefully, with some work on ACT, we can make ACT also into something similar, I hope.
LinkedIn can be one way to get members.
Yes. Yes, announcing stuff, Perlmonger stuff on LinkedIn or Facebook groups might also work. There are a couple of Perl groups in each of those places. And on well, Twitter is like, unless you have a friend who has 10,000 technical followers, then Twitter is not that good. More question.
What do you mean using a naive use of open source? I saw in your presentation.
It's, well, okay. For example, using software from some upstream, meaning Debian or Red Hat or whatever project that you need to have as a component in the product you're making, and then saying, oh, there's a fix here, or we need to fix this bug, and then not taking this back to the community, because the act of fixing something and then giving it back to the community creates a relationship. That's what we are here for. It's like we want to build relationships because it means we get better feedback, we get to know new people, we open up new opportunities for places to work or find new employees. We do all kinds of good stuff because we connect to each other, and the Perlmongers are an arena for exactly that. And the people who say we're not part of the open source community, they're basically saying we don't want to be part of making everything better for everyone. And then, okay, that's discouraging for the community, and it's a little bit annoying because it's volunteer work. We're doing good stuff for everybody, and including ourselves. And having somebody said, oh, I just want to take, I want to give me. Yes, a black hole. Treat these people with what the respect they deserve. That's what I'm saying. And if you can change the culture there, probably better to do it through the people who actually do stuff and say, hey, you should submit a bug report. Or do you want to learn something about DBX class? Come to the Perlmongers meeting, because it'll make your life a lot easier than doing all the crappy custom stuff you're doing. Stuff like that.
Okay.
More questions? Do we have time for one more?
Yeah, we have time for one more question. Oh.
Not really a question, but I think I have a follow-up thought about that bootstrapping problem with finding people in your city. So we organized the conference and people showed up. I think people just wouldn't bother to show up for a weekly or monthly beer bar meeting. But if you do something like actually constructive, when they can maybe convince their company to send them there, they will bother to go there. But waiting for people to show up to organize a conference isn't going to get you anywhere, because they won't show up unless you do something actually interesting for them.
Like, you kind of have to get your ass together and do something first, even if you do it alone. And it sucks in the beginning, but you get the ball rolling, and after a while, it gets easier. And eventually you can say, okay, I'm done, I've done what I can, next guy can take over, and we're done. And you have a notch in your belt, or however we measure good success.
I have something to say about the weekly beer meetings. Here in Sofia we have a weekly meeting. However, it's not strictly the Perl community, it's pretty much the whole IT community of Sofia. So if you have a few Perl community members, it's the thing with beer is the more people you get in one place, the merrier it is. So try to expand the community and possibly meet the Perl people with the other people. Any more questions?
All right. So
All right. Let's thank our speaker. We are continuing after a 10-minute break.